Today, it's finally time. The long-awaited Kenshi video.
My God! Okay, it's happening!
Kenshi is by far the most difficult character to master in the game, but thankfully I'm here to explain everything in simple terms. And honestly, after practicing Kenshi for a couple hours, he's not that bad. But before breaking everything down, I have a very special announcement. I made a comic book. That's right, a comic book inspired by fighting games and written for fighting game players. The characters were designed by me, I wrote the script, and I found an incredible artist to illustrate the whole thing. The comic isn't available yet, but it will be in 5 days. So every video until then is going to count down the days until the Indiegogo launches. And oh man, it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have trading cards, t-shirts, posters, and so much more. So please stay tuned until the official launch, and also spread the word to everyone you know, everyone who loves fighting games, to everyone who loves comic books. This project means so much to me. It's taken over a year to create, and I cannot wait to share it with you all. Alright, so most of you watching likely already know this, but in case you don't, Kenshi is actually two different characters. His moveset changes completely whenever he summons the spirit. And because the game starts you in his default stance, we're gonna cover that first. Ancestral Guard feels straight out of the Injustice games because Kenshi can hold it down and keep running across the screen, very similar to Robin. However, there's one thing about this special move that makes it really cool. It destroys projectiles. Check this out. Ooh, got my back, Sento, thank you. And then to make things even cooler, you can actually cancel it by holding left trigger and catch the opponent with a throw and other mix-ups of that nature. Next up we have Demon Drop, and it just wouldn't be Kenshi without an overhead projectile. He has it ever since Mortal Kombat 9. And in this game, if you spin the bar, it launches the opponent to extend combos. Really cool. However, do be careful because certain characters with a fast special move can actually flawless block this and then punish you from a half screen or even a full screen away in some cases. And then we have Rising Karma, straight from Mortal Kombat 9, your go-to way to extend combos without even having to spin the bar, which is very nice. However, if you do want to spin the bar, Kenshi can actually jump cancel out of this to do some cool air combos, which in the corner can be really cool. And then last but not least, we have Force Push, a very quick special move. Get off me, says Kenshi. But to make things even cooler, Kenshi can actually hold down this move, which does several things. For starters, it can make it safe or even plus on block depending on how long you want to charge it. So check this out. Maximum charge, we are +9. And like mentioned earlier, if you hold down the move, you also get a big boost in damage. And then if you spin the bar, it charges much quicker, so faster damage and much faster to be plus on block. And since Kenshi has amazing range, being +9 is fantastic even with tons of pushback. But now it's time for the attack strings. First up we have Blindsided. Despite the animation, you actually can't combo after that final hit unless you special cancel or summon a cameo partner. And then on top of that, I believe the final hit is death on block. Yeah, look at that, -17. So with this move, you want to hit confirm the first 2 buttons and then decide if you want to finish it or not. Pro tip, that final hit is the perfect time to summon the spirit. Next up, we have Tomahawk Pain. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This string is super interesting because from a distance, the final hit is just a mid, but up close, it becomes an overhead. So if you combine Kenshi with certain cameo characters that hit low, that can be a tricky 50-50. Next up, we have Silencing Souls. Final hit lands in an overhead, so once again, the proper cameo can give you a mix-up. And on top of that, the first hit is chunky, does 50 all by itself, and the whole string is also quite damaging at 116, but you can't combo after it, which is a shame. Oh boy, but next up we have Forward Triangle Triangle, which has 3 different enders. If you choose pinned, you get an overhead, which is pretty slow and reactable, but once again, combined with the right cameo partner, it can be a tricky mix-up. And then to make things even better, I believe the overhead is actually safe on block. Yeah, look at that, -8 with a bunch of pushback. Nobody's punishing this thing. Next up, we have Spirit Away. I love that movie, and I like this string too. It's a pretty damaging way to end your combos. However, unfortunately, the final hit cannot be special canceled. And then finally, we have Deep Stabbed, which is pretty much the same as pinned, only the sword doesn't go quite as close. However, that being said, it's actually different on block because it hits so late. Look at that, -6 instead of -8, so tougher to punish. Now that being said, I do think that Reptile can actually hit me before the blade comes down. I might be wrong about that, but at the very least, he can definitely armor through this thing, so be careful when using it. Now finally, we have Heightened Senses. A big boy damage ends in an overhead, so once again with the right cameo could be a tricky mix-up. As you can see, even without his spirit, Kenshi is still quite a formidable character. He's got some decent zoning, and with the right cameo partner, he has some good mix-ups too. However, that said, his combo damage is quite low. In fact, his base damage might be lower than Sub-Zero's, which is saying something. But now now it's time for the main event, the Spirit Summon. The main reason everybody plays this character. Kenshi has ridiculous combos and crazy offense once the Spirit is out. However, keep in mind you lose access to your cameo partner, and once the Spirit is gone, Kenshi becomes a fairly lacking character, which means you can spend 1 bar to get the Spirit back or switch to his default stance. But alright, what can this Spirit do? I'm going to hold block and show you what's up. Spirit Bop is a really fast attack, great for interrupting the opponent, but does not do very much damage or have much hits done. And then if you press triangle, you get double dose, which hits twice to break armor and is also great for extending combos and great on block too. It's great for pressure. It's amazing. What a good button. And then if you press X, you get lunging soul, a big launcher, but it's not an overhead. It's only a mid, so keep that in mind. No mix-up, but it does launch to extend combos. Really good for combos. And then finally, if you press circle, you get Pakara Punish, a fast series of moves that knock the opponent down. So great for ending combos or just putting the opponent on their face. But of course there's more, because Kenshi is a very complicated character. You also get new special moves. First up, we have Banish Ancestor, which sends Kenshi's spirit away and also puts him back into his default stance. And then we have Spiritual Alignment, which resets the spirit and brings him back to Kenshi. Sometimes the spirit and Kenshi get really separated, and sometimes you just want him to come back to you, so that's what this special move is for. And as for the meter burn version of this move, it's quite interesting. It resummons the spirit after the timer wears off, so I'm gonna wait a bit for the spirit to run out of juice, and then I can spend a bar with Spiritual Alignment and get him back. Next up, we have Soaring Sento, great for extending combos if you don't have any bar, but then if you do spend the bar, Kenshi can do airstrikes immediately after. But that being said, why would you ever spend meter when the spirit is out? The whole point of Sento is high damaging meterless combos, right? So why would you spend the bar? Hold on to it. But anyway, last but not least, we have Teamwork, one of the best special moves in the entire game, because not only does it do crazy damage, but it also puts the spirit right behind the opponent. And that's way more cheap than you might think initially, because keep in mind, Kenshi can hold the block when the spirit attacks, or in other words, he can just deny your wake up over and over again with this character as he safely blocks. But then we have the metered version, which turns into a projectile and does a ridiculously crazy amount of damage. Look at this, 18% for a single special move is crazy. And on top of that, the spirit is left right in the opponent's face while Kenshi himself is at a safe distance. Yeah, really cheap special move. Now that being said, keep in mind the opponent absolutely can hit the spirit, and if they do, he takes a knee and can't do anything for a few seconds. He's completely off the table. And of course, Kenshi gets an entirely new set of strings when entering Sento's stance, and there is way more than you might initially think. Oh my god, why are there so many? Okay, first up we have Blind Justice. What a pun, what a pun. Hits mid several times, fast punish though, good for starting off combos or just punishing something unsafe. Next up we have Transcending Cut. Oh, is that a launcher all by itself? Don't mind if I do, that's so cool. Next up is Waterfall Cutter. I love these names. Okay, so that's my ender, I guess, right? So I just do this. Sorry everyone, I don't spend much time in Sento's stance because it's really complicated. That third hit is super slow, by the way. Is it a mix-up? Yes it is, it's an overhead. Then we have Don't Blink. I love these names, I love them so much. Okay, can I special cancel that? Yes, I can. Fantastic. Hold block, force the opponent to block this. Oh, it's so annoying. Then we have a Lost Way. Oh yeah, this string is like your go-to way to start combos when combined with the spirit. You press X and the spirit launches them to extend the combo. It looks something like this. Boom, just like that. Really cool stuff, right? Really cool stuff. Next up, we have Impaler, which is just a poke, but man, it's an overhead, and look how fast that is. That's a very fast overhead. 16 frames, that is borderline unreactable. That's crazy good. And then on top of that, can this bad boy start combos? Maybe if you delay it a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. So a near instant overhead that can start combos. That's crazy. Then we have Bad Feeling. Oh my gosh, that first hit is a low and it's 22 frames. So it is reactable, but the range on it is really good. And my point is, Kenshi has an overhead and a low that can both start combos. That's crazy. So for example, I could just do this. Oh baby, that's a combo starter. Or instead, I can do the overhead. Oh baby, that's a combo starter. Once again, the low is easier to react to, but it's still a combo starter for free, and you don't even have to time the spirit if you don't want to. He comes in just in time. Alright, but now last but not least, we have Get Back! Knocks the opponent full screen. I was hoping so. With a name like Get Back, it better knock the opponent full screen, and ends in a mid, not too bad. And wait a minute, was that second hit an overhead? Yes, it was. It's hard to read on Johnny Cage stage, but that is an overhead. Oh my goodness. But I digress. Spirit Spike, 1, 2, 2. Decent damage, knocks the opponent down. I love it. Then we have booted. I messed up that special input, don't judge me. 192. That's really good damage and knocks the opponent away too. Pretty sick. Now that being said, the issue is Kenshi does not have any air special moves, so the only way to combo after these strings would be with a cameo. And now finally we have the Sento aerial strings. Launch him for me. Square, square, triangle. I like the damage on that, and of course Sento could fly in and extend things for me, I'm sure. But next up we have Falling Apart. Launch him for me. Oh, big distance and some decent damage too. So only 4 strings in total, but they're split up between the 2 stances for Kenshi. Oh my gosh, the spirit resets after a back throw. I did not know that. Really cool. Take a note of that for sure. But now it's time for the Fatal Blow. I forgot what this thing looks like. Oh, it's a big clash. Okay, here's my first question. Does it change when Sento's out? Do I get a different Fatal Blow? I do not. It's the exact same. Interesting. I kind of would have preferred the Fatal Blow to act differently during Sento's stance, but I bet the Kenshi player prefers that it's the same no matter what, because that just makes things less confusing, even if by a little bit. As you can see, Kenshi is quite the complex character, not just because the Sento combos are difficult to memorize and master, but also because the player just has to get Sento out in the first place. Now thankfully, certain cameos that freeze the opponent in place are perfect for this. In fact, that's why so many Kenshi players are using Frost. Not only can she freeze the opponent in place, but she can also summon this orb to keep the opponent away while Kenshi summons his spirit. Now all that being said, of course you don't have to use Frost. I'm just telling you why she's so popular among Kenshi players. As mentioned earlier, this character is very difficult to master. It's a lot of muscle memory and repositioning of the puppet, not to mention to stop the puppet from moving, you have to hold the cameo button, and then you have to hold block to keep Kenshi from moving when the spirit is attacking. So it's already hard to balance those 2 things and keep track of what you're doing, but then on top of that, the opponent is trying to kill you. Like literally, they're attacking you with everything they've got. So the Kenshi player has to deal with that on top of memorizing really tough combos and keeping the spirit and Kenshi in the right spot. It's not the easiest thing to do. However, all that being said, an important TSA, alright? Anyone who takes the time can definitely master this character. He's difficult, but he's not impossible. Anyone watching this video can master Kenshi. It's just a matter of time. I recommend spending a good amount of time in training mode mastering the combos, and after that, don't go online. Instead, go to the ladder and have it set to easy or very easy. That way you can practice your combos and spacing against a moving opponent, but not a difficult opponent who's trying extra hard to kill you, right? The AI is set to low difficulty. And then once you've mastered that, it's finally time to go online, but I recommend fighting your friends first, and not just random people online. That's gonna get frustrating. And then once you've gotten pretty good at beating your friends, or at least giving them a tough time, now you can finally go online against random people. If you follow those 4 steps, then I promise you can master Kenshi. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it helps my channel out a ton, and then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.